What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Total Blast, where we'll talk about everything Marvel and the MCU. SDCC was a few days ago, and Marvel fans were actually treated to an amazing old H panel by Marvel Studios, where they released every Phase 5 and a little bit of Phase 6, which includes the actual release date for the Fantastic Four, which will be on the 8th of November. There was also the announcement of 2 new Avengers films. The Kang Dynasty will be out on the 2nd of May 2025. But the biggest thing we got was the official release trailer for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. There's so much in this trailer, so much that I didn't quite think they would show us in the teasers. This trailer is possibly one of the best trailers I've seen, and it's so emotional. In this video, I'll break down everything that you need to know. This includes the movie plot, which was made clear based on what we saw in the trailer, and also based off on what we heard. So I'll be explaining precisely what is happening here. And of course, we'll also be talking about Namor, the submariner, who is the villain of the movie and also a mutant. We'll also be talking about the Avengers vs. X-Men, Doctor Doom, and how he could actually be behind everything we've seen in the trailer. Some deaths are foreshadowed, and most importantly, Wakanda vs. Atlantis, the new Black Panther. If you're new to the channel and you love Marvel, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest updates. So, the trailer began in a very dreary way. Obviously, we have lost Chadwick Boseman, who was a complete legend. He was actually battling with cancer, but he kept it as a secret from almost everyone he knew, and this includes Marvel Studios. But he still gave it his all in his performances, and you can actually feel so much of him in this trailer. This movie will be focusing on who the next Black Panther will be, and Marvel mentioned that they're not recasting T'Challa, but they didn't mention that there isn't going to be a new Black Panther. Obviously, in the very last scenes of this trailer, we actually saw a new Black Panther. But the pressing question is, who exactly is this? Is it Shuri? Is it M'Baku? Or is it Killmonger? Well, we'll discuss that shortly. And yes, the movie will be focused on the battle between Namor and his home Atlantis, the Atlanteans and Wakanda. The trailer started with a song, No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. It then transitions into All Right by Kendrick Lamar with the lyrics saying, We gon' be alright, sort of reflecting the state of T'Challa's family and Wakanda at the moment. It starts with Nakia looking off into the waters with a Mayan or Aztec temple behind. In the MCU, Namor and the Atlantean story is that they're actually descendants of ancient Mayan or Aztec family, so a bit different than the comics. Nakia is right off the coast, and the temple is right off the water as well, reflecting what's going to happen, which will be a battle between the Atlanteans that live in the water and the Wakandans, of course, live on the land. From here, we're able to see Queen Ramonda, who is actually on the throne. That's because T'Challa passed away. He's no longer king of Wakanda. So you can tell that she's very much emotional about being on the throne, because this is where her husband once sat until he passed away in Captain America Civil War. Then her son sat there after, who of course recently died. So it's certainly very emotional for her to sit on the throne. Then it actually goes right into the funeral of T'Challa, which actually seemed like more of a celebration of T'Challa rather than a funeral. We can also see everyone putting on white clothes, but separately, we can see that Shuri and Queen Ramonda were wearing black clothes, which is customary for funerals. As we see the funeral scene, we continue to hear Bob Marley's No Woman, No Cry. That lyrics, good friend we've lost along the way, which is obviously reflecting on King T'Challa and also Chadwick Boseman himself. We can also see that the entire kingdom has been seriously affected by the death of T'Challa, and we can see everyone mourning, Queen Ramonda, Shuri, Dadora, Milaje. Later, we saw the birth of Namor, the submariner. Now, in the comics, Namor is considered the first mutant. In fact, Marvel themselves typically refer to Namor as the first mutant, and I'm hoping that the MCU keeps this the same, and it looks like they actually might do that because in Ms. Marvel, they did reveal that Kamala Khan is indeed a mutant. So, of course, mutants have been introduced into the MCU, and in the comics, Namor is half mutant, and hopefully they really stick true to that in this film. And it sure looks like they actually did, because if you take a closer look at the ankle of baby Namor, you'll see tiny wings on them. This was actually taken right from the comics. Namor has wings on his feet that gives him the ability to fly. Later in the comics, Professor Xavier would inform him that he is indeed a mutant. But keep in mind that the MCU usually changes origins and powers. So, back to our story. Now, baby Namor has grown to full-grown Namor, and we see him wearing a headdress. And if you look quite closely, it sure looks like the head of some kind of sea serpent. Now, this could actually be a reflection of the Atlantean god that may be responsible for giving Namor some of his powers. just like the Black Panther god gave powers to the Black Panther with the heart-shaped herbs. Gods are actually becoming a huge part of the MCU. We have the Asgardian gods, of course. Love and Thunder actually introduced the Greek gods, and we actually did see bars in Love and Thunder. And at the Omnipotent City, yes, Moon Knight did introduce the Egyptian gods. So it wouldn't be a surprise if the Atlanteans had their own gods. And even in a particular scene, we can actually see Namor looking at some sort of ancient mural that does have some kind of ancient dragon or sea serpent on it. So he could actually be getting part of his powers from the god in the comics. Namor has the ability to fly. He's actually a mutant, but he's also half Atlantean. His mother is also an Atlantean who had him with a human or a mutant side on his father's side. This is actually why Namor has the ability of a mutant, and he can also breathe underwater since he's half Atlantean. But this is also why he doesn't have blue skin like the rest of the Atlanteans, because he is only half. Now, remember that the last Black Panther ended with T'Challa addressing the United Nations, telling them they will finally open up their resources to the rest of the world. And of course, the rest of the world have no idea what Wakanda actually was. They thought Wakanda was some third world country, and they had no idea that Wakanda was actually the richest country in the world and actually one of the most technologically advanced country because of their vibranium. So we go to the scene which is taking place on a ship where it looks like people are going to be diving deeper into the ocean. This is what most likely is the reason why Namor is going to war with Wakanda. These people are most likely diving for vibranium, trying to find it in the ocean, in which case they'll be getting a bit close to Namor and Atlantis. And this is exactly what would lead to some major conflict. Wakanda is actually the one who opened up their doors and resources to the rest of the world, exposing that they had vibranium. This implies that Namor is probably going to view Wakanda as the cause of all these happenings. He'll be seeing it as their fault. We also have a scene where Namor is quite younger. He's actually at the surface with some Atlanteans surrounding him. And if you look quite closely, the Atlanteans actually have put on some masks so that they will be able to breathe. This is because they are Atlanteans. They breathe underwater and not above water. So they need these breathing devices. However, being half Atlantean and also half human/mutant, Namor can breathe above water. Young Namor is actually standing in front of a house that is on fire. It instantly cut to him being an adult, walking out of the waters to the shores of Wakanda. So, I'm assuming that there's a lot more to Namor's backstory with Wakanda. And what I think is the scene where the house is on fire could be the death of not just his father, but possibly his mother. And maybe Namor think that was Wakanda's fault or Wakanda's doing, that his father or mother died. This could actually be the reason for the hate of Wakanda in Namor's heart, way before the event of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. In this scene, we know that he'll be arriving at Wakanda when he steps out of the water because several scenes later, he was attacked by some Wakandans and in Baku. On the surface, the Atlanteans beside him dives into the water. However, Namor isn't scared and he just stands there. This is probably because he's considerably more powerful than other Atlanteans because of him being partly mutant. M'Baku attacks him and probably isn't going to be enough to defeat him on his own. Now, we actually know from Black Panther Wakanda Forever tie-in book that Shuri actually does manage to recreate the heart-shaped herb. So, it is most likely she will become the next Black Panther, although there might actually be more than one. Now, we see Shuri in the throne room and everything seemed to be on fire. This could be after she actually took the heart-shaped herb. Something is quite interesting here. I think Marvel might actually be trying to trick us with what Queen Ramonda says. She says, "I am the queen of the most powerful nation in the world." But then she went on to say, "My whole family is gone. Have I not given everything?" The fact that she says her whole family actually implies that Shuri is gone as well. So, will Shuri die in Black Panther Wakanda Forever? I do, however, think that she's going to be one of the new Black Panther. And I also think there could actually be two. We'll get to that in a bit because I actually think that Queen Ramonda might actually die. In the trailer, we can see that the throne room and Wakanda is actually being flooded by Namor. This is actually taken right from the comics in the Avengers vs. X-Men story where Namor floods Wakanda, and if I had to predict, I'll predict that Queen Ramonda probably doesn't make it out of the flood alive. This would be quite big if it really does happen because this movie is already going to be dealing with the death of T'Challa. So, adding another death will be quite big, but of course, MCU has to move ahead of things and have to set up, and this could actually take us to where M'Baku could actually be king and even the next Black Panther. But I think this conversation that the Queen is talking about here is actually a big misdirect. It sure think that it was supposed to be Shuri that is saying this. They simply heard her voice. This is actually for the trailer to throw us off because this is a little too obvious for me. They would not want to reveal that Shuri is going to die in the very first teaser trailer for Wakanda Forever. But I'm however guessing that this dialogue is still in the movie, but possibly it comes from Shuri. Now, we also have Ironheart in this movie. She is Wakanda, and we know she's going to actually have her very first Ironheart suit. And we have a scene of Riri Williams, aka Lionheart, where it looks like she's making her very first suit. And this scene very much mirrors the scene where Tony Stark is making his very first Iron Man suit with the hammer in the cave. And Riri Williams cut out a metal heart, which of course represents our character, Ironheart. During this trailer, we see some soldiers board the ship, and the soldiers aren't with Atlanteans, and they are not with the Wakandans. So the big question is, who are they with? This is where I think Dr. Doom comes into the situation. I think what we are seeing here is some sort of play on the Dr. Doom war story, and Dr. Doom is going to be looking for vibranium. They have rumors about Dr. Doom in Wakanda Forever for quite some time now, and although this isn't confirmed by any means yet, there have been tons of reports that suggest that Dr. Doom is coming to the MCU soon, and this would fit quite perfectly if Dr. Doom was indeed behind what is actually happening in Wakanda Forever. Because although Namor is the villain of the movie, Namor isn't a true villain. He is more of an anti-hero in the comics. He fought with the Avengers, with the Illuminatis, with the Fantastic Four, and even with the X-Men. He's a good guy, but he's just sort of a short temper. However, in the MCU, he can't be a true villain. He is eventually going to be somewhat of a hero. And I think he's going to be revealed that Dr. Doom has probably planted something in his mind that made him go after Wakanda or tricked him in some way. At the very end of this trailer, it shows Namor taking his spot on his throne in Atlantis, and it sort of looks like he might be where he's declaring war upon Wakanda, because the next couple of scenes are Wakandans going at war with Atlantis, and the very first scene is actually of a new Black Panther fighting Namor. If you take a closer look in the background, you see the person in the back is indeed Namor. As far as who the new Black Panther could be, I'm assuming that it's Shuri, although this Black Panther suit does have a lot of gold in it that reflects Killmonger's Black Panther suit. Now, it is a possibility that Killmonger could actually return in Moon Knight. They've showed us that people can actually come back. They did even mention that ancestral plane in Moon Knight, and personally, I think this will be a really great route to go down. Bring Killmonger back, bring him back as a true good guy, and also bring back Michael B. Jordan. However, in the first Black Panther movie, T'Challa is looking at the suits that Shuri made him, and he does say that the gold is quite too much. But this is more of Shuri's style. So this could be Shuri as long as M'Baku is concerned. I don't think this figure we're seeing here is probably too small to be M'Baku. Western Duke is pretty much a big guy, and this person's frame here looks a bit smaller. So I'm guessing it's probably Shuri. At the end of the day, they could end up having two Black Panthers. They could have Shuri, but then they could have another male Black Panther, because Black Panther is a very important character to tons of people in real life. And there are rumors that Nakia is actually pregnant with T'Challa's baby, and this baby could eventually go on in the MCU to become our true Black Panther. Who knows? It could even begin as part of the Young Avengers, then he'll move on to be the true king of Wakanda. But if you have any other great theories about this, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and let me know your overall thoughts about the Black Panther Wakanda Forever teaser trailer. I do think it was fantastic. I thought the choice of music was amazing, and probably one of the best trailers for Marvel Studios. Please don't forget to like this video and share it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.